Can you let everybody know what's your name and where you're from?
My name is Rei Haycraft, and I am from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay, okay. First question: what was your first reaction when you read the script, Bunny?
So it's interesting because the first script that I read is nothing like what we're
Okay.
filming now. So my initial reaction, I was just really, really excited
Okay.
based on the premise.
Mhm.
Because when I originally like heard about the project, it was like, hey, it's like supernatural, and it's kind of like horror suspense, and I'm like, these are things that I love.
Okay.
In the original version, there was a lot of supernatural elements, like there was a stone curse and like a lot of really interesting stuff.
Mhm.
But the more that you and I talked about it, we're like, well, that's probably more for like the movie
Mhm.
version,
Yeah.
with all of this. Cause I have all these questions about like, okay, well, how did she get the curse? And how did they do this? And
Mhm.
um, so I still like have that in the back of my mind of, okay, yeah, we know that this is going on,
Yeah.
but we don't see it in this.
Mhm.
Um, and then what was really cool was that, we got to have a collaborative approach to it. And this version, focusing on the time loop
Mhm.
is really interesting. So first reaction was this is going to be a lot of fun. I like
Mhm.
keeping audiences guessing. It's not just something like super surface,
Okay.
stuff to dig into. Um, yeah.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Yeah, that is true though. Script has went over many surgeries getting it down for YouTube, but we will have the spoiler alert. We will have a feature going, but we'll talk more in the future in that one.
I
Um,
know. I know. No spoilers.
yeah, yeah, nah,
This is a
no.
vignette. This is like a look into the world.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. What character have you always wanted to play but haven't had the opportunity to take on yet, and why that role? If you can. If you don't, we can get to another question.
Um, no, it's very interestingly phrased because when you say like a character, I'm assuming you mean character type, but the
Yeah.
first time that I heard it, I was like, "Ooh, character." So I have a musical theater background, and so I'm like, "Ooh, roles that I would love to play."
Okay.
Because I could give you a list of those. But
Uh,
I think I'm most drawn to morally complex characters,
mhm,
because I personally don't think there is really, good or evil. And villains can
mhm,
sometimes be the most interesting characters because you can see the motivations and the contradictions. I really like to dig into those kind of characters because that's where like those contradictions is where humanity really lies,
mhm,
in my opinion. And for Rosie, I think, trying to dig into that experience of like, all right, when are things normal? When is she kind of getting pulled out of her own reality? Like
mhm.
I like roles like that where it's a lot more complex than probably comes across even
Okay.
in the final edit. But I also love supernatural and fantasy kind of themed. Got like
Okay.
some vampires and werewolves. That's fun too. But yeah, psychological complexity. Those are the kind of roles that I really like.
Psychological complexity. I like that. I like that. Um, how do you mentally prepare for stepping into a character?
I over prepare, and maybe it's not over preparing.
Man, that's
I
cool.
really dig into the script. I throw myself into it, and like evidence-based script analysis, of
Mhm,
course, first, to figure out like what character choices are like actually supported. Like, what are the given circumstances here? Like, what do we know from what we're reading? And then where does that character live in that world? Because I want to make sure that I'm not imposing what I think would be interesting, but like what's actually there.
okay.
Um, to like mentally, so I start with like the analytical and like the okay, what would it be to be in this world?
Mhm,
And then it's a lot of like breaking down the character. What are all the things that I know that she reacted to or
mhm,
she had this experience, and how do I pull that together to like, okay, well, this is her as a human being.
mhm.
This is exactly like what they represent and like the overall arc.
Okay.
And for Bunny specifically, like prepare as far as preparation, digging into okay, what does she know at that point of in time? So
Mhm.
like with the time loop, what is gonna change? How does that need to inform what I'm doing? Alright, well, she has no idea at this point, but she can tell something's off, or, like, there are subtle things. Do I know if that's gonna come across in the final? Like, that's up to what comes across on camera, do my
Okay.
best.
Okay.
But preparing for, um, I guess just trying to figure out what it l is like living in her skin as much
Okay.
as humanly possible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, that's dope. What's one acting technique you swear by, and why does it work for you?
So I just talked about like evidence-based script analysis, like really trying to
Mhm.
dig into that and sit with it and spend time with it, and look at it from different, points of view and those given circumstances, right?
Mhm.
Um, I am a deep believer in the Meisner technique. If you're familiar with his, I want to say like teachings,
Mhm.
but the idea of behaving truthfully in imaginary circumstances.
Okay.
So that is a philosophy, right? I guess it's a technique.
Okay.
It is, but it's a philosophy of like you want to be living truthfully, right, in this imaginary world that we have.
Okay.
That reality of like doing, like what are the actions that kind of go with the objectives? Just his technique in general, I think like the truthful behavior in the moment with the other person.
Mhm.
That's something that's important, with Meisner's teachings of
Okay.
like being truthful in the room with the like you can do all the script analysis you want
Mhm.
and you can come to set and your interaction with that other human being, it might all go out the window,
Mhm.
because in that moment it's a truthful interaction.
Mhm.
Otherwise it's acting.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to catch you acting,
Mhm.
then it's not convincing
Yeah,
at
I got
all.
you. I got you.
Yeah, but so listening and responding truthfully, I would say Meisner and then, Stanislavski's, principles of, like, given circumstances, like I talked about. What do we actually know?
Mhm.
What are the objectives that the character what does she want in this
Okay.
moment,
Okay.
you know? And that informs, what I do.
Okay. Okay. No, that's definitely nice one. I like how you went in more detail for that for people that looking in and might want to get into this too. Um,
Yeah,
when
your
it,
reading list, Meisner, Stanislavski, Uta Hagen.
okay, okay. When a director gives you a note you disagree with, how do you approach the conversation?
So I can't think of a time that I had actually disagreed, on
Let's
any
apply it to life then. How about that? Let's apply it
I
to
lo
life. Yeah.
well, like, I was trying to think I guess it applies in general,
Yeah.
to things. I want to first understand, like, what the note is,
Mhm.
if it's just a disagreement or it's about perspectives, right?
Oh, yeah.
I never assume that, like, I am right in any circumstance in life or in acting.
Mhm.
Um What is the perspective that you like, I will ask questions and I really want to understand.
Okay.
And sometimes people will see like, "Well, why are you asking why? Are you questioning my authority?" I'm like, "No, no, no. No. I truthfully want to understand and that will help me like do what you're asking because if I understand why, then I can actually accomplish it."
Understood.
Um, I think the collaborative approach is what's really exciting to me and I think kinda keeps that from being an issue for the most part, so, for me, most of the time, you're actually on the same page with
Mhm.
somebody and you don't realize it until you
Yeah.
talk about it. On set or, like, with a director, I think the closest thing to that is I have an interesting perspective because I also edit and I also produce.
Okay.
So, a lot of times, I'll pull up, like or I'll bring up, "Hey, I was doing this in the last take. Do you
Mhm.
want me to do that again?"
Okay.
It's if you don't, that's fine. Or, like, "Hey, for continuity, because 'cause I'm thinking from the other lens as well of, like, if I was the editor and I didn't have that shot, like, it would really screw things up. So, I always ask permission
Mhm.
of, "Are you okay if I, like, make suggestions?" I
Mhm.
love to throw ideas out there, but if the person is not like, at the end of the day, if the director wants it a certain way, like, I'm the conduit. I didn't write it, It's it's their vision. I'm just helping it, come to life on
Okay.
screen. So very much it hopefully it's a collaborative environment where I can be like, "Hey, what about this? Would this be cool?" I like to play because that's
Mhm.
where it gets fun.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't say I've ever like been like, I don't want to do that thing.
Now I got you.
We're
I got
asking
you.
questions and hopefully we're both trying to make it, the best it can be.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, what is how could I put this? What is your philosophy on characters' truth?
Character truth, I mean, as a definition, we're acting off what they know and believe in that moment and not like what I, as the actor, knows. And that can be difficult for people and can be difficult for me. I know that all of this stuff's going to happen later on in the script, right? I know that there's this supernatural element
Mhm.
the character doesn't know or
Mhm.
hasn't gotten that far yet. And so the acting as truthfully as you can in imaginary circumstances, I've used that quote until the end of time.
Uh,
Um, like also honoring like contradictions that may be apparent. Like being truthful of what the character would be experiencing
mhm.
in that moment as best as we know. But also like making the choices make sense, not just because I think it would look cool if
Mhm.
we did X, or, "Oh, I think it would sound really neat if I had this line."
Okay.
Well, it's not about Ray,
Mhm.
it's about Rosie. And it's about the vision, it's about the story, and it's about all of the characters and this world. So it doesn't matter if I think it would be cool. Is that really like where she is
Mhm.
as a person in this world? Like I'm sometimes in the same scene you'll have a whole bunch of different emotions. But yeah, fully inhabiting, I think character truth is like fully inhabiting their logic, their worldview, their emotional like landscape, if you will,
Okay.
even if it's, like, wildly different than what I would do in that moment. And I think that's where sometimes people get stuck. It's like, "Well, I wouldn't do that." It's like, "Okay, yeah, you wouldn't, but
That's
would
not true.
Rosie do that?"
Yeah, yeah. No, I got you. No, I got you. Makes plenty sense. Okay. How do you reset emotionally after filming an intense or traumatic scene? You don't have to give up all the sauce. Just in general. Just in general.
Ugh. So it's funny because I literally just filmed something yesterday where, like, I was crying. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie, like, let's be real with you, and I was, like, sniffling through we had to do another and, like, suck the tears back in
Mhm.
to go again,
Mhm.
and it is for me, it's a lot about feeling things in your body. Like, I ramp myself up, like, if I'm supposed to be, like, super amped, I will literally be like, "Can I have 20 seconds to go run down the stairs and back up the stairs?" So
Mhm.
that I'm feeling it in my body,
Mhm.
and that's great, but then resetting can be difficult if
Mhm.
you've got it now in your body. I'm like, "Sweet, I'm in fight or flight." That
Yeah.
probably was a great take.
Mhm.
How do I pull it back down to 0? I won't say that I've, mastered it, but
Mhm.
I think, literally taking a minute and focusing on the breath, um, it sounds so cliche, but, like, mindfulness and just
Mhm.
kind of, "I need a minute. I'm gonna lay on the floor, literally lay on the floor, focus on my breath." I actually do some, like, voice, exercises because that
Okay.
helps, like, with the breath.
Okay.
And then honestly, like, talking to people, like, on set or being like, "Man, alright, that was rough." And then I default to humor after
Mhm.
that. So kind
Okay.
of through that kind of like, "Alright, I'm gonna get my shit together,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna get it in my body. I'm gonna kinda talk to people if it's appropriate at that point, people are probably doing stuff. And then, um, yeah,
Okay. No, it's no problem. Definitely, it's great that you do at least have a technique instead of just staying. I have seen some actors just stay in that and they can't bring it back. So it's like that's cool that you can
it's
bring it back. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it and I've been guilty of it too. I
Mhm.
say guilty of, it's not like it's a
Not
bad
a
thing,
guilt. It's just
but
you
y
went there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Going
if you're
forward.
doing, like, the substitution so it's another acting principle is like, okay, you're struggling. You're like, I don't know how to connect in this moment. Like, and I've had that problem where it's like, I've never felt this way. I've never been in this situation. Like, how do I work myself up to like have this emotion? And I believe I'm gonna say it wrong. I believe that that was Uta Hagen. Yes, it was about substitution. So, all right, I've never dealt with like being held hostage, but I have felt this emotion that I think the character would be feeling, and I'm gonna mentally substitute it for this traumatic thing that I did go through. Now, that will get you a great performance. But, afterwards and you have now heightened yourself and you have now brought up the, like, traumatic thing that you went through,
Mhm.
you better have some kinda some plan, something, because you'll burn yourself out
That
using
is
your
true.
own trauma.
That's true. You can make a mental note for later. If I need you to cross set, I'm not gonna tell you to think of the worst thing. I'm just tell you think about you almost use the bathroom on yourself, and then we're gonna go from there. So it won't be as bad. But I know to be that the facial expression will be like, okay, that looks like a dry face. So yeah, I never want you to go to a dark place. All right, what originally pulled you toward acting, and when did you realize it wasn't just a hobby?
So, I have just always been fascinated with storytelling and creative expression, and honestly, just making art.
Hmm.
It Putting something out in the world to hopefully reach someone else. I know it sounds like a little grandiose, but
Hmm.
I started in, music. I was a lead singer of a hard rock metal band, Ramiee, for the better part of a decade. Put out albums, won some awards, did some really cool stuff, and that was songwriting and performance. And I love singing, I love making music, and the connection with the crowd is something that's just so uniquely powerful. It just really is, and that connection with people, um, that's something that, like, you're chasing that. There's no high
Yeah,
like performing live and connecting with another human being,
that is true.
and especially songs that I've written and then talking to someone afterwards and them saying like, "Thank you for writing that. That really meant a lot to me," or "It got me through this dark time." And
Hmm.
that right there, I'm like, if nothing else, if I helped somebody through something with something that I made or I performed in or I was a part of in some way, like,
Hmm.
what more can you ask, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Um, and so that's where I started, and musical theater is also a big love of mine, and so that then took the music part, and we dovetail that into musical theater with the performance and the live theater, um, and acting,
Okay.
and it's only been the last couple of years that I have kind of been like, "You know what? I've been doing theater, I've been doing music for so long. What would it be like to, like, do the on-screen part?" I work on the other side of it. I'm an
Mm.
editor. I film other people
Mhm.
all the time. I understand that side of it. So, in the last couple of years, like, I really threw myself into the on-screen acting thing. I was like, "You know
Okay.
what? I'm gonna put everything into this." You
Okay.
know what? Had so much fun. I've had so much fun. And it's another conduit for not just self-expression, because 'cause you're stepping into another world
Mhm.
in a different way. So with music, I'm it's me, right? So it technically is like I am putting on like a persona to some
Mhm.
extent and performance, um, but it's something I made.
Mhm.
There's a vulnerability in that. With musical theater, it's much less so. It's very rehearsed, and multiple people have played the same role. You're not originating something. With this, like there is a measure of safety, but also even more vulnerability with
Uh-huh.
on-screen acting.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if someone didn't like Rosie, well, that's not me. That's Rosie did that. I just made it come to life.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I knew it wasn't a hobby is that I had a moment and I was like, this is something I really want to do and I really love working with other people, like, it's the collaborative part. I'm like, "Ah,
Okay.
this is magic. We're making something cool, and we're putting it out into the world," and, um, yeah, I'm not gonna let that just be something I casually did, you know?
But, I'm gonna throw you a curveball, what you'll see is coming. It's still the same question, but, For new actors, male and female, coming up, if they was to ever face an obstacle on set that was challenging, what advice would you give them to work through it? Yeah,
Can I
just
think of,
advice.
like, a specific one that, like,
Yeah,
I've
that's fine.
felt with or
That's fine.
okay, so the thing I hear the most, like, from my peers, and it's been difficult for me too, is,
Mhm,
the unpredictability
mhm,
when you're on set of you can man, and this is my problem too, you can spend weeks, like, living in this and doing all the character analysis and everything,
mhm.
and you come onto set and maybe they've had to change everything because they didn't have that location anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't get to have your moment, you don't get to
Mm,
spin out. Okay. Yes, and improv.
yeah.
Yes, and now we're gonna go this direction. Is it
Oh,
gonna be exactly what you envisioned? No. But one of the things I think is an obstacle for a lot of people is the expectations versus the reality, being able to shift
mhm,
quickly, and being flexible while still doing the preparation. The
okay.
other side of that is I hear all the time, like, "Man, well, what's the point in doing all that character work if it's gonna change or if it's
Mhm.
gonna whatever?" Well, no. No, you don't get to not do the work,
Yeah.
but if it turns out that I did all of this prep and all of this character analysis into Rosie and all the things I know about her, and then on the day, you were about to be like, "So we've decided she's an alien
Mhm,
and she's not really here, it's a hologram." I'll be like, "All right, so from what I know now, here's how we adapt to that." Do I
mhm.
have any magic secrets to how to do that? Just to try to think of it as improv, as a living thing.
Okay.
That's how I think about it. The project is not there is a script and you were gonna say the lines and you're gonna say them into this camera thing that's gonna take the picture and make it is a living, breathing thing
Mhm.
made up of a bunch of humans making something out of nothing,
Yeah.
and if it's a living, breathing thing, wouldn't it be so boring if it was all exactly like you planned? Then what's the point in doing it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, then, it changes it's just perspective, I
Mhm.
think.
Okay, okay. Nah, that's definitely dope.
I
Um,
think I'm answering the questions, I kinda just talk, and
that's
then
fine.
you can tell me if I'm not hitting it.
No, no, it's definitely all good. That's why I said I threw a curveball that you could see for the simple fact is, yeah, just to give other actors another perspective of it. Also in closing, if you can give any advice to actor, male or female, from your perspective, what would you tell them?
In this moment in my life, I think the thing that comes to mind the most is when you're starting out, not being so hard on yourself and never imposing limits on yourself. Like, don't impose limits on yourself
Mhm,
because there will be plenty of times in life where limits are imposed upon you.
mhm,
I hate like the toxic positivity that's like, well, just sort of buck up and keep going. It's like, well, it's not necessarily that. It's if you think to yourself, well, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough.
mm,
I'm too old for this role. I'm too well, you've already decided
mhm,
for the world, haven't you? Whether or not it's true.
mhm,
Your perspective on yourself, and it's hard. It's so hard. But what is it really going to hurt you to audition for something? Even if you were 90% sure you're not gonna get it. Even if you don't, just doing the audition
mhm.
is a powerful teaching tool
Yeah, that's true.
because you learn so quickly and you get a little snippet into different characters that maybe you've never done before. So if I think, "All right, you know what? I know I'm not gonna get this role, but I got an audition for it." They saw something.
Mhm,
Right? So, deciding yourself you're not the casting director.
mhm,
That's I think the moral there. They could be looking for you.
mhm.
You don't know. So why not try?
Yeah,
You're only out, like, your time, but you're still learning from it. I've learned more from auditions and going through the process with that and, like, the coaching that goes on there than you can't teach that kind of experience. So do the auditions, audition as much as humanly possible. Try to like don't feel like you're above like any roles.
Mhm. Yeah.
It should all be
Especially
about the experience and working with new people and getting to make some like be excited. Be
mhm.
excited about being given the opportunity. I find it as a blessing and like an honor. It's an honor to be given the opportunity to like bring a story to life.
Okay.
And especially so like with you, and I said it before and I'll say it on the record. Like I am so honored that you have given me this um opportunity to bring this character to life that you wrote that came from you and you're trusting me with that and I take that very seriously
No,
that I am being
thank you.
trusted with this thing that you made.
Mhm.
And so that faith, like, don't ever take for granted that someone has put that faith and that trust in you to make this thing happen. And so I've said it before, and I'll say it again, like, thank you for trusting me with that.
And
Now I
likewise,
just
and
gotta
then
do it.
yeah, likewise, because you could have not did it, and I would have still been out here searching for all my characters. So now I definitely appreciate it too. So yeah, likewise. Before we get out of here, um, yeah, that was some. I like that. I like how you put that. And all to all new actors, male or female, coming in. Hey, like the best thing to do is do what you need and then don't doubt it. That's just me adding on to it and then keeping it short.
Mhm.
Don't doubt yourself and then don't doubt the process of getting to where you want to go. Before we get out of here, can you tell them your name and where you're from again?
Rei Haycraft. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.